There are still people who seem to think that stuff exists, therefore God is a convincing argument.
When I asked you who made your sunglasses, why didn't you say, well, they evolved?
Because they were made.
How do you know?
Okay, maybe they were evolved. I don't know.
Did you see the person who made your sunglasses?
I did not.
You don't have to. The proof that there's a sunglass maker is the sunglasses. You don't need to see the guy in China. You know he exists because he got the sunglasses. And the same thing is true with your eyes, that tree, the sky. You know that there is a maker of these things because they exist, right?
I know that human beings can make sunglasses, and I am not aware of any natural process that can make them, so I infer that they were most likely made by human beings. This inference applies to sunglasses, cars, buildings, etc., but it does not apply to rocks, oceans, and life forms. I know of no means by which people or any other intelligent agent can make those things. I do know of natural processes that can make rocks and oceans. We don't know all of the details about how life was formed, but we do know a lot about how atoms and molecules interact, and we know that life is essentially a set of complex chemical interactions. So we infer, quite reasonably I think, that life is a product of these interactions. However, we know absolutely nothing about how a god can create life, or even what a god really is. So the idea that God created life is not the most reasonable inference.
You know they came about somehow.
And exactly the same thing goes true with your sunglasses. You didn't say they came about somehow. You say somebody put them together because they are made in a way that if somebody didn't put them together, they wouldn't exist. And the same thing is true with your eyes and creation. You know there's an eye maker because you have eyes. You know there's a tree maker because there's a tree. That is the greatest proof that there is a creator, the creation. Agreed?
Yeah, I guess.
Logical, isn't it?
If I knew nothing about how plastic is made or that factories exist, it isn't at all necessarily the case that I would assume that human beings or any other intelligent agent made sunglasses. This guy seems to think that it is inherently obvious that sunglasses are made by humans. But if you went back in time about 50,000 years and dropped a pair of sunglasses in the grass, and someone came along and found them, would that person necessarily assume that these things were human-made? I see no reason to think they would. I don't even know why they should. Without knowing any better, why would it not be at least as reasonable to infer that sunglasses were some kind of product of nature? Determining whether something is intelligently designed is not as simple as creationists make it out to be. One wonders what this guy thinks an undesigned object would look like, or how one would discern an undesigned object from a designed one, especially considering the fact that he thinks absolutely everything was designed by Yahweh. I suspect this guy is one of those idiots that think that order and complexity, or the combination of the two, is impossible without some conscious entity creating that order and complexity. They assume that the default state of existence is either nothingness or simplicity and chaos. There is absolutely no reason to assume this to be the case. There is no reason to believe that complexity and order are never possible without intelligence.